Hi, welcome to ConvinceMeAudio. Today we have the review of this, the Dethonray Honey Portable Amp and DAC. Let's talk, shall we? So this portable amplifier and DAC comes in at $599, and in my opinion, I think there are 599 better ways to spend your money than buy this. But if you insist, let's dive in and see where the issues lie and what are its strengths. So this device is machined CNC aluminium, sandblasted, feels absolutely incredible. Rather weighty, it's about 257 grams or something like that. So as you can imagine, this plus a phone in your pocket, unless you have massive cargo shorts, it could be problematic. In the back, we have two USB-C ports. One of them is for data, the other one is for power. And that plays a role. It plays a big role in regards to the sound, which we will get into in a minute. The front gives you this knurled knob with a very, very stiff action. Nice click. We have the 3.5 headphone out and we have the 4.4 Pentagon. Now the 3.5 doubles up as line out and optical, and the 4.4 is obviously balanced. Build quality, absolutely top notch. This is great. And we have the high-low gain switch, which is mushy and not very satisfying at the front. And at the back, we have something which I really do like. It's the actual line out. This becomes direct line out when you switch it, and that is really useful if you're planning to use this DAC on your desk. And I think it's the best place for the bloody thing. So the frequency response for this is 20 Hz to 20 kHz. Not too bad. Signal to noise ratio comes in at 116 decibels. Great. And I think the noise floor is around 0.008. And we have a AKM AK4497 DAC integrated chip in this. This amplifier is supplied with a 5300 mAh battery, which will give you 10 hours on the single-ended, I think it depending on volume obviously, and 8 hours on the balanced. It does make a big difference what headphones you've plugged in and at what volumes you have it, but down the road, 50%, I think that's the ratio usually. Okay, so that's the specification out of the way. It's pretty impressive. Oh, this thing is freaking powerful. We have 6 VRMS for 32 ohm. If you can do the math for that. I certainly tried and I really couldn't. And it does, on the balanced for 300 ohm headphones, 6.2 VRMS. It's freaking powerful. Also, there is 3 separate types of software you can load onto this. You have the IEM variant, specifically for IEMs itself. Then you have the standard, which is IEMs and power hungry headphones. And then you have the other setting for max power, which is exclusively for over-ear headphones. This thing can drive ARIA on the single-ended in this mode up to about 90%, which is just freaking mind-boggling. So, how does this thing actually sound? This portable Amp-Dac is highly musical, but slightly warm and a bit soft and a bit polite. It's very much akin to the Syncsa desktop amplifier, where things just sound pleasant. It sounds sweet. It doesn't sound very analytical at all. It doesn't sound very resolving. It doesn't sound very outstanding. It's just nice. It's laid back. It's calm. And it doesn't work with every headphone. It tends to actually favor headphones that are a bit extreme. Treble response of a certain headphone that's a bit too bright or a bit too forward or a bit too shouty. It tames those things. But using this with something like a Nana, which is already soft, it creates a mesh of gooiness that's horrible to listen to. It's just not pleasurable at all. But using something like a T1 or using something like the new Clear MG review up here, that really will assist with the violence and with that forwarded treble that could do with some calming the hell down a bit. This is pleasant, it's fine. The bass region is rather good, but it's a bit slow, it's a bit bloated, it's not quite refined. The mid-range is quite open and airy and quite resolving because the actual imaging and the positioning of instruments is rather good. It reminds me quite a lot of the Dinello, that kind of presentation where sounds comes from all sides and everything's very distinct and defined, but obviously with less refinement. The treble region, same story, laid back, smooth and very polite. Really not much to actually write home about. It's not highly resolving for strings. You're not going to feel the texture of instruments. You're not going to feel the body of instruments. You're not going to be immersed utterly in audiophile heaven. No, it's just a nice amp. It's adequate. It's very powerful. It's very sweet sounding. It's very musical. It allows you to enjoy your music, you know? It's pleasant, but it's nothing outstanding or exceptional. Not in the slightest. But for something like the Hi-Fi-Man Aria, which is exponentially hard to drive, for some reason on this device it works, and it does drive it to about 90% of its capacity, even on single-ended, which was absolutely mind-blowing. I didn't get an opportunity to try it balanced, unfortunately. I did not have a 4-pin XLR to 4.4 to test it out. Suffice it to say, it's adequate at a pinch. And using the high power software, I think it would drive Arias to probably about 95%. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Okay, so it sounds good. The imaging is great. It's a bit soft, but the imaging is great. The layering is good. Bass is a little bit slow, but it's satisfactory, it's fine. Treble is nice and polite and smooth. It's highly musical. Why don't I recommend this? Even setting aside the $599 price tag for those of people who can afford it and don't really care. This thing is strife with issues. I stated previously, these two USB-Cs come into play because using it by itself without separate power, the sound is mushy, it's sticky, it's gooey, it just sounds wrong. I do not like it in the slightest, but that is one of the least of its problems. This amplifier, as soon as you turn it on, if your IEM is connected, it makes the loudest pock noise in your ears you can imagine. Now, this IEM costs $2,500. Okay, this one costs $900. This one here costs $2,000. Do you honestly believe I would risk putting that on this on the go, having to remember, okay, the device is off, the IEM is connected, I need to disconnect. Now let me turn it on just so that I can avoid that massive pock and blowing the drivers out of my IEMs, plugging it back in. Okay, now let's switch it off. Oh no, I can't switch it off because if it's switched off, it still makes a pock noise when you switch it off. I'm sorry, you just can't risk these types of prices and performing IEMs on such a device. I wouldn't do it. I don't want you to do it. Second issue, this thing connects and disconnects at a whim for absolutely no reason, even when plugging the power supply in and the USB at the same time. It's strife with software issues. This is beautiful, but the execution is appalling. Second of all, this is 2021. Wireless is something we all need for convenience sake. Having to plug this in to your source via wire, and then having to plug the IEMs in via a wire, you've got now one device on this side cable coming across behind you maybe, and then your phone on this other side. Now these things are heavy, so you're going to be looking like a horse with a pair of saddlebags, okay? The alternative is to actually get your device short wire and put it on top of it. So you end up with this brick. Now, where are you going to put this if you don't have a bag? Because it's the only place it can fit. It needs Bluetooth. It doesn't have it. It doesn't have line in. It has optical out on the single ended. It has line out on the single ended. It doesn't have line in. You can't actually even attach a little dongle like this one, the ES100. I do this on a regular basis with the Oppo HA2 SE here. I go to the line in and then use the rubber rings and then make a little Frankenstein thing, which is still better than this. I mean, this thing you can still pick up for about 200-300. Look at it. It's thinner, it's lighter, it's more beautiful, sounds just as good. Except this has balance and has more power. The connection inside is appalling. It pocks, it picks, it crackles. When using it at the desk, you've got to be careful because the DAC will distort at certain volumes. I've still not worked out why. Even when reducing the volume in Audiovana to like 90%, it still distorts at times for certain tracks. This device can do DSD at 128. It can do PCM at 32-bit 384, but sometimes this could be the problem. Certain machines do not like running certain tracks at 32-bit for some reason. They like 24. I've had this issue with other amplifiers in the past, but I'm not going to hold that against it. That could be a software issue that could actually be to do with the source rather than this itself. The 5000 milliamp battery is pretty good for on the go. I mean, it gives you enough time to actually use this for an entire day. But this device is actually truly shines at the desk. That's what it's really good for. You plug it in and you use the DAC at the same time. It's very, very powerful for headphones. So I think for somebody who wants something better than their laptop, DAC and amplifier inbuilt, they would buy something like this, put it next to their laptop and actually use it in the office environment and not worry about what headphones they're taking with themselves. It might be IEMs or it could be over-ear headphones. It's all fine. I think that's the only scenario I would recommend this, but I would recommend looking for this used. You should never ever pay $600 for this. You really shouldn't, because like I said, this little device, the Oppo HA2 SE or the Chord Mojo, you can pick up for $280. If you don't need this vast amounts of power, you pick up one of these, you pick up a little Bluetooth dongle, and then you have everything you need. This is for a very small niche crowd, and they have to prioritize certain things. Their prioritization would be high power on the go. Their prioritization would be, I need something for my laptop when I'm going on a very long journey or in the office environment. I don't want to take an A90 or something. Yes, this could work for you too. But for on the go, as in using it with your phone, I don't recommend it. Look at this freaking volume knob. It's so stiff and so shallow, you can't even use your thumb to gently turn it, because we've come to our, what are we on, third problem or is it 19th? I've lost count. The next problem is the volume pot on this thing is not freaking linear. What happens is you turn it up a little bit, it goes nice, 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 loud, 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 like that. It's so irritating. It jumps. So then you go, okay, fine, I'll go low gain. And then you realize you are turning it up, up, up. You're almost at the end of the spectrum, but you need a little bit more because your IEMs might be something like these ones. The Tri-Starlight IEM. These require a lot of power, and unfortunately on single-ended it doesn't work on this very well. So you go balanced. Fine, balanced, plenty of power. You can only turn it for about there. Like literally there. So if this is 7 o'clock, 8, 9. Because if you go to 10, it starts yelling, it starts shouting. There comes a time when certain devices come to the desk. They either make you fall in love with them, Kyner and Nanas, which sometimes even replace these, the Z1Rs, not for the fact that they're better, just for the fact that I want to use these. I like the sound. It doesn't do everything as well as this lot or that lot does, but it sounds nice. And then other times you get devices like this. I can't stand this thing. It sounds okay, it has a lot of power, but everything else about it is wrong. There is 599 better ways to spend the money. Now let me tell you some of those. Grab a Oppo HA2 SE, a Cord Mojo, or both, and it still wouldn't cost as much as this. Grab a FIO M11 Pro, which will cost half the price of this, and buy a nice IEM. You can buy an A90 desktop amplifier and a sheared Modi or something. That would probably just about get you to the price of this. Who is this for? Apart from that, them 3 people who want it with their laptop, I don't know who this is for in 2021. Please, if you have one of these, put it in the comment section below and let me know if you've had these problems. If you find value in it, I want to hear your defense. I am thoroughly curious, so let's start a conversation down there. So Dethonray Honey, you get 1 tiger for this build. You get 2 tigers for your sound. But for your execution, nothing. I would like to take a moment to thank my Patreon members for keeping the Audio Lounge chat alive. Thank you so much for your support. And if you're considering joining the Patreon, you will get early reviews, you get early impressions of me yelling and shouting and thinking what I think about devices in the Audio Lounge chat. I'll get to speak to you and give you my impressions of things that you might be interested in. So click on the description below and you'll be able to find all the info you need if you're interested. And I would like to thank Eskimo Bob again. Thank you so much for sending all these things in for review, mate. You are a star. It's very, very much appreciated. I am Koji CO. I will see you next time. Peace.